G'day, wildlife enthusiasts! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going on a wild adventure, diving deep into the fascinating world of deer and their sometimes peculiar eating habits. You heard right. We're talking about deer and their curious attraction to dog food. It might sound strange, but trust me, the animal kingdom is full of surprises. We're going to explore why these herbivores might be tempted by kibble and the implications it has for their health and behavior. So, buckle up and get ready for an exciting ride as we unravel the mysteries behind this unusual feeding phenomenon. We've got a lot to cover, from the nutritional content of dog food to the ethical considerations of feeding wildlife. Stay tuned and let's get right into it. Crikey! Now, we all know deer are herbivores, right? These gentle creatures have evolved over millennia to thrive on a diet that is rich in plant matter. They're built to graze on plants, leaves, fruits, all the good stuff Mother Nature provides. Their diet is incredibly diverse, ranging from tender leaves to succulent fruits and even the occasional flower. Picture them in a lush meadow, munching on grass, nibbling on berries, stripping bark from trees. This variety ensures they get a balanced intake of nutrients, which is essential for their health and well-being. That's their bread and butter. The natural environment provides everything they need to sustain themselves, from the lush greenery to the hidden fruits and berries. Their digestive system is like a finely tuned machine, perfectly adapted to break down these tough plant materials and extract all the good nutrients they need to survive and thrive. The complex stomach of a deer allows it to ferment and digest fibrous plant material efficiently. But here's the thing about animals, even those with specialized diets, they're opportunistic feeders. This means that while they have a preferred diet, they are not strictly bound to it. That means they're not afraid to try new things, especially if it means getting a quick and easy meal. In times of scarcity, or simply out of curiosity, they might sample foods that are not typically part of their diet. Just like us humans, sometimes a little curiosity gets the better of them, and they might wander off the beaten path, so to speak. This can lead them to explore new areas, including human habitats. So, while their natural instinct is to stick to a plant-based diet, sometimes those cravings lead them to some pretty unexpected food sources like, you guessed it, dog food. This behavior highlights their adaptability and the lengths they will go to in order to find sustenance. It's fascinating to see how these herbivores can adapt to different environments and food sources, showcasing their resilience and versatility in the wild, and even in suburban settings. Ultimately, though, their heart remains in the wild, where they can graze peacefully and live as nature intended. Their diet, while occasionally varied by circumstance, is a testament to their evolutionary success. Now imagine a scenario where those usual food sources are scarce. Maybe it's a particularly harsh winter, and the ground is covered in snow, making it hard for deer to find their usual meals. Or perhaps they're living in an area where their natural habitat is shrinking and food is becoming more difficult to come by. That's when those survival instincts kick in, and they start looking for alternative sources of sustenance. And that's where dog food, especially the dry kibble kind, comes into play. You see, dog food is designed to be calorie-dense and packed with protein and fat to keep our canine companions happy and healthy. And while those nutrients are great for dogs, they can be mighty tempting for a hungry deer, especially when their usual plant-based diet is lacking. It's like a beacon of energy calling out to them, promising a quick and easy meal. But it's not just about hunger, folks. Remember how we talked about deer being curious critters? Well, that curiosity plays a big role in their attraction to dog food too. The smell of dog food, especially those with strong meaty aromas, can be incredibly alluring to a deer. Imagine those scents wafting through the air, tickling their sensitive noses. It's like a siren song drawing them in to investigate. They might be thinking, "What's this? It smells interesting." Let's have a nibble and see what it's all about. And once they get a taste of those tasty morsels, they might find themselves coming back for more. It's like a whole new world of culinary adventure has opened up to them. Now let's talk about why dog food, particularly that dry kibble, is so darn appealing to our dear friends. You see, it's not just about the smell, it's about what's inside that crunchy goodness. Dog food manufacturers pack their products with ingredients designed to attract dogs, and guess what? Some of those ingredients also tickle a deer's fancy. We're talking grains, fats, and even certain sugars that can be mighty tempting for a deer looking for an easy meal. Think about it. Those grains provide carbohydrates for energy, fats offer a concentrated source of calories, and those little hints of sugar? Well, they add a touch of sweetness that can be irresistible, even to a herbivore. It's like a perfectly engineered snack designed to appeal to a wide range of animal palates, even those that aren't supposed to be eating it. Now here's another fascinating aspect of this whole dog food attraction, the scents. We've talked about how those meaty smells can be a real draw card for deer, but it goes deeper than that. You see, dog food often contains rendered animal fats and proteins, which release those potent aromas that deer associate with, well, food. These scents might mimic certain smells found in their natural environment, further piquing their curiosity and enticing them to investigate. Think about it. A deer might catch a whiff of a particular oil or fat used in dog food and mistake it for something they'd naturally find appealing in the wild. It's all about those primal instincts, folks. Now let's talk about winter. It's a tough time for wildlife, especially herbivores like our deer mates. The ground's frozen solid, snow covers everything in sight, and finding their usual meals becomes a real challenge. That's when those survival instincts kick into overdrive, and they're more likely to take risks and explore new food sources, even if it means venturing closer to human habitation. And guess what they often find in those areas? That's right, dog food. Left-out bowls of kibble, spilled bags on porches, or even accessible garbage bins can become a lifeline for a hungry deer struggling to find sustenance in the depths of winter. Now, you might be thinking, crikey, Steve, those deer seem to be scoffing down that dog food like there's no tomorrow. It might look cute and harmless, but there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. And while a little nibble here and there might not do too much harm, we got to remember their tummies ain't built for that kind of tucker. Deer have evolved over thousands of years to eat a very specific diet, and dog food just doesn't fit the bill. See, deer are herbivores. Their guts are like finely tuned machines designed to break down tough plant matter, all those leaves and grasses. Their digestive systems are marvels of nature, perfectly adapted to extract nutrients from fibrous plants. Dog food, on the other hand, is chock full of protein and fat, stuff that's meant to give a growing pup energy for all that running and playing. It's formulated to meet the nutritional needs of carnivores, not herbivores. Now imagine feeding a koala nothing but steak all day long. It just wouldn't sit right, would it? Koalas are specialized eaters too, relying on eucalyptus leaves for their diet. Same goes for our deer mates. They need their natural diet to stay healthy and thrive. Too much rich food like dog kibble can really upset their delicate digestive system, leading to all sorts of nasty problems. We're talking about serious issues here, folks. We're talking diarrhea, bloating, even long-term damage to their organs. These symptoms can be incredibly painful and distressing for the deer. Remember, we want these beautiful creatures to thrive in the wild, not suffer because of our actions. It's up to us to ensure they have the right food and environment to live healthy, happy lives. So next time you see a deer, appreciate it from a distance and let it forage naturally. It's not just about what dog food can do to a deer's insides, it's also about what it's missing. See, nature's a pretty incredible thing. It provides everything an animal needs to survive in its natural habitat. For deer, That means a diverse diet full of fibre, vitamins and minerals, all the good stuff they'd naturally forage for in the wild. Dog food, while convenient, just can't replicate that delicate balance. Imagine trying to fuel a high-performance race car with nothing but low-grade petrol. It might sputter along for a bit, but it's not going to perform at its best, is it? Same goes for our deer mates. Without the right nutrients, they can become weak, more susceptible to diseases, and even have trouble reproducing. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation of sand. It's just not going to stand the test of time. Now, some folks might argue that feeding deer a bit of dog food here and there won't hurt, especially during those harsh winter months when food is scarce. They might think they're helping the deer survive the cold, harsh conditions by giving them a little extra nourishment. But here's the thing. Even if it doesn't cause immediate harm, it can lead to some unintended consequences down the track. See, animals are creatures of habit, and once they associate humans with an easy meal, it can be hard to break that cycle. This dependency can alter their natural foraging behaviors, making them less adept at finding food on their own. They might start hanging around residential areas more often, looking for handouts instead of relying on their natural instincts to find food in the wild. This increased presence in human-populated areas can lead to a higher risk of conflicts and accidents. This can lead to all sorts of problems, from deer getting hit by cars to them losing their fear of humans, which can be dangerous for both the deer and the people. Deer that are too comfortable around humans might venture into busy streets causing traffic accidents, or they might approach people expecting food, which can lead to aggressive behavior if they feel threatened or cornered. Additionally, deer that lose their natural wariness can become easy targets for poachers or fall victim to aggressive dogs. This not only puts the deer at risk, but also disrupts the balance of the local ecosystem. Remember, we want our interactions with wildlife to be positive and sustainable, and that means respecting their natural behaviors and keeping them wild. By allowing deer to rely on their instincts and natural food sources, we help maintain the delicate balance of nature and ensure that these beautiful creatures can thrive in their natural habitats for generations to come. Now, we've talked about the health implications of deer eating dog food, but there's another important aspect to consider, and that's the ethical side of things. See, when we interfere with the natural order, even with the best of intentions, it can have ripple effects throughout the entire ecosystem. Think of it like a delicate spider web, each strand connected and dependent on the others. When we start feeding deer, we're essentially disrupting that balance. They might start congregating in unnatural numbers around human settlements, which can lead to overgrazing and competition for resources with other herbivores. It's like inviting a whole bunch of guests to a party and then not having enough food to go around. It's just not fair to the other critters who rely on those same resources. Now, aside from the ethical considerations, there's also the legal aspect to think about. You see, in many places, it's actually against the law to intentionally feed wildlife, including deer. And for good reason too. These regulations are in place to protect both people and animals. Remember those unintended consequences we talked about? Well, they can get even more serious when you factor in human safety. Deer that become accustomed to humans might lose their natural fear and become aggressive, especially during mating season. They might start seeing gardens and yards as fair game for grazing, leading to property damage and conflicts with homeowners. And let's not forget about the increased risk of deer vehicle collisions when they're hanging around roads looking for handouts. So remember, it's not just about what's right, it's about what's legal and safe for everyone involved. Now, you might think you're just being kind by putting out a bit of dog food for the deer, but you might be surprised by who else shows up to the party. See, word travels fast in the animal kingdom, and it's not just deer that are attracted to the smell of an easy meal. Raccoons, opossums, even those sneaky fellas The rats, they're all going to catch a whiff of that kibble and come looking for a free feed. And let's not forget about the big boys, the ones with sharp claws and even sharper appetites. Bears and feral hogs, they're always on the lookout for an easy meal, and they won't hesitate to help themselves to your dog's dinner, even if it means tearing through your trash cans to get to it. Trust me, you don't want to be caught in the middle of a wildlife buffet gone wrong. Now, sometimes you'll hear about folks using dog food to attract deer for hunting. They might think it's a surefire way to bring in a big buck, but let me tell you, it's a right tricky subject. You see, using bait like that can be a real ethical tangle. Some folks reckon it's not giving the animals a fair go, while others argue it's just another tool in the kit. Truth be told, the legality of it varies from place to place. Some areas allow it, some have strict rules against it, and others are somewhere in between. So, before you even think about putting out a bowl of kibble to lure in a deer, best check with your local wildlife agency to make sure you're on the right side of the law. Even if it is legal where you are, you've got to think about the bigger picture. Leaving out food for deer can change their natural foraging behaviors. They might start relying on those handouts instead of finding food on their own, which can be a real problem if the food source suddenly disappears. Plus, it can lead to overcrowding and competition, with dominant deer pushing out the younger or weaker ones. That throws the whole social structure out of whack. And let's not forget about the other critters that might be attracted to a free feed. You might be aiming for deer, but you could end up with a whole buffet line of raccoons, opossums, and who knows what else. Now, I'm all for sustainable hunting, and I understand that sometimes managing deer populations is necessary. But for me, it's all about fair chase. That means giving the animal a sporting chance, using your skills and knowledge to track them down in their natural habitat. Baiting with dog food just feels, well, a bit like cheating, doesn't it? It takes away the challenge and the respect for the animal. So, if you're thinking about using dog food to attract deer for hunting, I urge you to reconsider. There are other, more ethical ways to manage deer populations that don't involve messing with their natural instincts. Now, even though feeding deer dog food isn't ideal, there are times you might stumble upon this unusual behavior in the wild. Picture this. You're out for a stroll in the woods, enjoying the peace and quiet, when suddenly you spot a group of deer munching away on something strange. You creep a little closer, and lo and behold, it's a bowl of dog food. It's certainly a sight that'll make you scratch your head, but it's a good reminder that animals can be full of surprises. So, why would a deer, a herbivore through and through, be caught dead? Not literally, of course, eating dog food. Well, remember what we talked about earlier. Deer are curious critters, and sometimes that curiosity gets the better of them. They might catch a whiff of something interesting, like the meaty aroma of dog food, and decide to investigate. And let's not forget, hunger can be a powerful motivator. If natural food sources are scarce, deer might be tempted to try anything that smells remotely edible, even if it's not their usual fare. Now, if you do happen to see deer eating dog food, the most important thing is to observe them from a safe distance. Don't approach them or try to feed them yourselves. Remember, these are wild animals, and we need to respect their space. It's also a good idea to contact your local wildlife agency or animal control. They can assess the situation and determine if the deer are at risk or if any intervention is needed. Remember, observing wildlife is a privilege, and it's our responsibility to do so responsibly and ethically. Well, there you have it, folks. We've gone nose to nose with the curious case of deer and their unusual attraction to dog food. Remember, While it might seem like a harmless snack for our antlered friends, it's not something we want to encourage. Dog food just doesn't have the right stuff to keep deer healthy in the long run. Plus, it can lead to all sorts of unintended consequences for both the animals and our communities. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through the world of deer and their feeding habits. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more wildlife insights. See you next time.